Episode 1 of Paradise begins by introducing Xavier Collins, the head of security for President Cal Bradford's Secret Service detail. Xavier has 2 kids, Presley and James, whom he appears to be raising alone. We don't know what happened to his wife. What we do know is that Xavier is in excellent physical shape and lives in a picturesque small town that feels a lot like Stars Hollow from Gilmore Girls. Neighbors greet him warmly, there's a peaceful lake with ducks, and everything feels calm and idyllic. During his morning jog, Xavier passes by his workplace and briefly chats with Billy Pace, another Secret Service agent, who mentions it was an uneventful night. Later, Xavier starts his shift by greeting Agent Jane Driscoll, who is taking over for Billy, and saying goodbye to Brooks and Rainey, the 2 agents who were on duty throughout the night. The residence they guard is large, luxurious, and heavily secured, but it's neither the White House nor Camp David. This suggests that Cal Bradford's presidential term might be over. Xavier heads upstairs to wake Bradford. When he gets no response after knocking, he announces he's coming in. Inside the bedroom, he finds Cal Bradford dead on the floor, lying in a pool of his own blood. The story then cuts to a flashback from 5 years earlier. It's the morning after Bradford's re-election, and Xavier is summoned to the Oval Office. Bradford is portrayed as charismatic and affable, a man with immense wealth and influence. He offers Xavier the role of head of his security detail for the next 4 years. Xavier accepts, and as time passes, he becomes closer to Bradford and learns some of his secrets. Bradford is a heavy drinker and chain smoker. He confides that the First Lady despises him. She's planning to leave him after his term ends, and intends to take their son with her. In return, Xavier opens up about his family, sharing that he has 2 kids with his wife Terry, a scientist working on an important project in Atlanta. Months later, during a press conference in the White House gardens, an assassin takes a shot at Bradford. Xavier steps in front of the bullet, saving the president's life. When Xavier wakes up after surgery, Bradford urges him to take some time off and cryptically tells him they need to discuss the future when he returns. That conversation happens shortly after Xavier's return. Bradford summons him to the Oval Office again, where a group of people is already gathered, including General Kirtley and a mysterious woman named Sinatra. On the table lies a black box containing a tablet with information about a top-secret national security project. Only 100 people in the world know what's inside, and Bradford authorizes Xavier to become one of them. Xavier accepts the offer, but before opening the box, Bradford asks if he's aware of what's happening in Colorado. Back in the present, Xavier is shaken but acts quickly. He confirms that Bradford is dead and notices a few key details in the room: a pair of earrings on the nightstand, 2 wine glasses, and an empty open safe. Following a trail of blood to the balcony and then to the garden, Xavier finds a broken bush but no other clues. He instructs Jane to lock down the house for 30 minutes without alerting their superiors. He knows that once the higher-ups are informed, he'll be removed from the investigation. Then Xavier calls Billy and tells him something terrible has happened. Billy agrees to return immediately. Xavier heads to the residence's surveillance room, but first, if you're enjoying this recap, please remember to subscribe to our channel. That really helps us a lot. Xavier heads to the residence's surveillance room to review footage of Bradford's final day. The footage is fairly ordinary. Bradford had lunch, a brief argument with Sinatra in the backyard later in the day, a drink with his father, then went to his room with a woman wearing the earrings now on the nightstand. After she left, Bradford went to bed. The last person to see him alive was Xavier, who said goodnight at 10 p.m. The footage also shows that Billy fell asleep on the couch during his shift, and the cameras inside the house went offline for nearly 2 hours, the exact window when the murder occurred. Xavier concludes that the killer must have known the house's routines, when Billy would fall asleep, and that Jane, the least experienced agent, would be on duty. She didn't even notice the cameras were offline. It's also revealed that Jane and Billy share a relationship that goes beyond professional boundaries. At this point, there's not much more Xavier can do, so he asks Jane to call security and declare a code red. The house quickly fills with people. The First Lady is enraged because she isn't allowed inside, and Bradford's father is also denied access. The investigation is led by Sinatra, the same woman who argued with Bradford earlier. Later, Agent Robinson arrives. She's the woman who went to Bradford's room and the owner of the earrings on the nightstand. Conflicts of interest are everywhere. Xavier and Robinson clash immediately. She presses him about what Bradford said to him before bed, leading to another flashback. Bradford, drunk and pacing in his robe, pulls a black tablet from the safe. He asks Xavier if he'll ever forgive him for what happened. Xavier coldly replies that he'll forgive him only when he can sleep again, and that will only happen once Bradford is dead. dead. Back in the present, Xavier is sent home. On his way, he decides to jog through town, revealing more details about the strange setting. People use wristbands to unlock cars and pay for ice cream, and a worker is repairing mechanical ducts at the lake. Xavier pauses and we realize he took something from the crime scene, Bradford's cigarette pack. It's marked with an X, and one cigarette has 812,092 written on it. Behind him, a digital billboard announces that sunrise will be delayed by 2 hours due to maintenance. At this point, viewers are left wondering, what is this place? The answer will surprise you. The episode cuts back to the Oval Office meeting from the flashback. General Kurt Lee informs Xavier that the US is preparing for a global catastrophe that could wipe out humanity. To survive, they are building the world's largest underground city in Colorado. The episode ends in the present as Xavier looks up at the sky. We realize what we thought was the sun is actually an enormous artificial light suspended by beams and walkways, with workers moving around inside. And that's it for episode 1 of Paradise. Please remember to like this video and subscribe to our channel, and stay tuned for the next recap of another new wonderful show.